What's going on, Nasteey Nation? It's Nasteey, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys 10 tips and tricks to help you climb faster in Season 9. The preseason lasted way too long in my opinion, but it is finally time to start climbing again, to start taking the game seriously, and trying to get to that rank that you've been trying to get to for so long. Some of the tips and tricks that I'll go over in this video can vary from something very simple, maybe something that you've heard before in the past, and I'm also going to try to include some new tips and tricks that maybe you haven't heard before in the past. Either way though, I hope you do go on to enjoy this video and I hope you do go on to find it helpful. If you do, then be sure to leave a like, but without further ado, let's get into it. I have teamed up with Quarterback once again to let you guys know how you could be earning free RP and how you could be unlocking any skin and any champion absolutely free using Quarterback. Quarterback is an absolutely free, Riot-approved application that allows you to compete in challenges in real time versus other players and earn rewards. This week specifically, season champions can earn even more trophies and even more coins, which makes it that much easier to unlock new skins and champions. I've been having a ton of fun using Quarterback recently, and I've been really grinding to get my club to the next rank, and I highly encourage you all click on the first link in the description to join my club and help me rank up my club and also get yourself some rewards at the same time. Best of luck in your Quarterback challenges this week, and now let's get to the video. So the first tip that I'm going to give you guys is going to be the most important one that I'm going to mention in this entire video, and that is going to be to not focus so much on your rank, and instead just focus on improving. I know a lot of people when they play ranked that they have a certain rank in mind that they are trying to reach, and if they struggle to reach that rank, then they get really frustrated, and I understand that it can be really frustrating to invest a lot of time into a game like League of Legends and not see the results that you're looking to see. However, if you're so wrapped up on your rank and you're so focused on your rank, then you're not going to be able to see the big picture and you're not going to be able to get there in the long run. Instead, it's more important to just focus on improving. If you focus on improving yourself as a player, then that alone will be enough to help improve your rank. Don't focus too much on how many games that you're losing or how many games that you're winning and how that is affecting your MMR and how much LP you're gaining per win and losing per loss. Instead, just focus on what did I do good this game, what did I do bad, and try to learn from your mistakes and just improve as a player. If you are able to improve as a player, then eventually the rank will come. The next tip that I'm going to offer is something that seems a little bit, obvious, but a lot of people don't really take this into account and don't focus on it too much, and that is just that you need to play a lot of games. Especially this season, the way that the new rank system is set up, where you have multiple ranks for every single role, it is going to be a lot more grindy in the sense that usually in the past, whenever you would win a game, maybe if you had normal MMR, you would get about 18 LP per win. This season though, if you win a game on your main role, you're only going to get about 15 LP, and then the rest of the LP is going to go towards your other roles. So in the long run, it is going to take a lot more games to get that extra LP back, and for that reason, of course, you're going to need to play more games in order to increase your rank on your main role. The LP overall is going to be the same, but again, it's not going to all go towards one rank, and that's why you need to play more games. The next tip is going to piggyback off of what I just mentioned, and that is the fact that we do have a new ranked system, and what I want to offer here as a piece of advice is to just focus on your main role. I know that in the past, what a lot of people have done is if they get a little bit frustrated playing the role that they're playing, or maybe they just get bored playing the role that they're playing, that they'll switch to another role, and it didn't really make that much of a difference because if you win or lose that game, it's all going towards the same LP. However, this time around, if you get bored or for whatever reason you play a different role, that is not going to be LP going towards the same rank. You're going to be working towards something completely different, and if you're trying to get to a specific rank, then it's going to be very important that you just focus on one specific role. So for that reason, I would say that it is really important to just focus on your main role, no matter what the reason may be. Again, if you get bored or if you get frustrated with your main role and you want to play a different role, just instead of playing the other role and wasting time, I would highly recommend that you just take a break from the game and come back and play your main role whenever you are ready to do that. The next piece of advice that I'll offer is going to be to play a warm-up game, or maybe just do some kind of warm-up before you get into a game. In just about every single traditional sport, there is always some kind of warm-up before the actual game takes place. Maybe they'll do some stretches, maybe they'll go for like a little bit of a jog depending on the sport, and esports are no different. In League of Legends, it is also going to be really important that you take time to warm up. Maybe this warm-up could be something as simple as going into a custom game and maybe just CSing for like 3 to 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be all that intense, it doesn't have to be super complicated, something simple like that. Or maybe you can go into a quick bots game and just play a quick 15-minute game versus bots, or maybe you can just go onto a Smurf account and play on your Smurf account, and that'll allow you to still be able to practice the mechanics but not as intense and not have to worry so much about your rank because you're going to be playing against easier players and on an account that doesn't mean quite as much.
Again, this is not something that a lot of people take into account, but esports is no different from regular sports. You do need to have a warm-up, even if it's something as simple as going into a custom game and CSing for a few minutes. The next tip that I want to talk about is something that I probably should have mentioned at the very start of the video, and that is going to be to not stress over early ranks or placements. Maybe you have done your placements already, or maybe you haven't, but either way, you're going to have to get an early rank early on into the season, and if it's a little bit lower than what you were hoping for, then don't worry about it too much. I know a lot of people, what happens is they don't perform their best in their placement games, they get placed lower than they were hoping to get, and they immediately get frustrated and decide, okay, I'm not going to be playing on this account anymore, or maybe they just figure it's not worth playing ranked and trying to climb from that rank. But the season is very long. There's always going to be time to make up for that rank, no matter how low you may place. So all I got to say is just don't worry too much about your placement games. Don't worry about how you place early on into the season. There's going to be a lot of time. The season is about 9 months long, so there's going to be plenty of time for you to grind. You're going to have a lot of time to go on win streaks. You're going to have a lot of time to go on losing streaks. And eventually, if you do grind enough, you will be able to get to your target rank, as long as you don't worry too much about your starting place. Another aspect of League of Legends that often goes overlooked is taking time to study the game. Very similar to what I mentioned earlier, including traditional sports. When it comes to traditional sports, you have to study the game. You have to learn from the professionals. You have to take time to research and try to figure out how can you play the game to the best of your ability, and League of Legends is no different. You need to take time to study the game, take time to watch professional players and learn what mechanics that they're doing that you're not doing. Try to figure out how to shot call like the pro players. Try to look up the best builds and the best win rates for the current meta. Do your best to stay on top of the game and just do your research from time to time. It really doesn't take all that much time. There's a lot of helpful third-party websites out there that have a lot of useful information for League of Legends. So just take a few minutes out of your day, maybe before you even get into Champion Select or before you queue up, to just take some time to look into what's good right now in League of Legends, and that'll help prepare you for your solo queue games. As I mentioned at the very start of the video, there's going to be some tips in here that you maybe haven't heard before, but there's also going to be a few tips in here that you have heard before, and the only reason that I want to mention them is because even though they have been re-emphasized multiple times, I do think that a lot of people still overlook them and a lot of people don't take them to heart, and that's why I think it's important to mention. And what I'm talking about here is another piece of advice that a lot of people have already talked about, and that is going to be to only play 2 to 3 champions. And notice that I said 2 champions because I don't think that one-tricking a champion is a very good idea. I've seen a lot of one-tricks get banned out quite often, and when something like that happens, they end up just being set back a lot. And when that happens, it ends up being just very difficult to have any impact on the game, considering one-tricks typically don't know how to play other champions all that well. So that's why I think one-tricking is just a very bad idea in general. But instead, I think playing 2 to 3 champions that are not only suitable in the meta, but champions that you feel comfortable on, I think that is going to be the best approach, and that is going to give you not only a good amount of options, but it's going to allow you to practice a few things rather than practicing a lot of things. And in my opinion, it's better to be great at a few things than good at a lot of things, and that's why I think playing 2 to 3 champions is going to be a really crucial piece of advice that I think you should take to heart going into Season 9. The next thing that I want to talk about is going to help you an insane amount in solo queue, and that is going to be to play patiently. In solo queue, people are constantly just trying to make plays over and over and trying to force fights and trying to do too many things at once, and they often make a lot of mistakes. You don't want to be one of those people who is making those mistakes and setting your team behind. And in solo queue, things like this are bound to happen. So instead of making those mistakes yourself, trying to force fights, trying to go for picks when you shouldn't be going for picks, instead allow the enemy team to make those mistakes and go for those plays, and then capitalize on their mistakes. Even in Challenger solo queue in Korea, which is probably the most difficult region and games to play in, there's still going to be players in those games that are making mistakes. So keep in mind that in every single solo queue game, there are going to be players making mistakes. And instead of you being the ones to make those mistakes, instead capitalize on the enemy's mistakes. And that'll be your way to carry games. And finally, the last piece of advice that I want to talk about. I started this video off with one of the most important pieces of advice that I was going to go over in this video. And I want to end it with another very important piece of advice. And that is going to be, don't type unless you're shot calling. I think a lot of people just get too caught up with typing. They're either flaming their teammates or they're just trying to communicate a bunch of nonsense. What I would say is just try to avoid using your enter key at all unless you're shot calling, or maybe you are trying to put down some timers for summoner spells. Don't type in the chat if it's not going to benefit your team. There's so many other things that you could be focusing on in that time spent. Instead of typing, you could be trying to pay attention to the timer for the next dragon or the next baron. You could try to be, looking at the mini map and trying to figure out, okay, where could I be right now? Do I want to be bot lane? Do I need to be roaming? Should I be coordinating with my jungler? There's a ton of things that you could be doing at all times in League of Legends, and typing is not one of the most effective things for you to be doing unless, of course, you're trying to shot call and get some crucial information over to your team. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, well, that is going to wrap up these 10 tips and tricks to help you climb faster in Season 9. Again, I really hope that you were able to find this video helpful, and if you were, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below, and subscribe to help the channel grow. Also, be sure to give me a follow over at twitch.tv/nasteylol. I'm streaming quite often these days, and I would really appreciate it if you could go give me a follow and check out one of my streams one of these days. A link to my Twitch will be down in the description. Anyways, I'd like to thank each and every one of you who did stick around to the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Best of luck in your climb this season, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.